Pittsburgh Steelers are still alive in the playoff fight, but the Cleveland Browns want to come and spoil the party. Hello, Steeler Nation, and welcome to the latest episode of your Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate with me, your host, Britsburgh, Owen, speaking to you here in the UK. Well, guys, we are still alive. We are still in with a chance and win against the Browns, see the Jets beat the Dolphins, and see the Patriots lose to the Bills, and the Steelers are in the playoffs, which would have been a very, very unlikely outcome when the Steelers went into their bye at 2-6, and certainly will upset all the tank squad out there. Oh, well, never mind. Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about what's been said by the Cleveland Browns going into this game on Sunday against the Steelers at Acrisure Stadium. And it really does show how pathetic, how small time, and how just how awful a franchise the Cleveland Browns really are, and what an embarrassment of a franchise the Cleveland Browns actually are. You know, they were talking about the fact that obviously they have the opportunity to stop the Steelers qualifying for the playoffs. You know, it's incredible, isn't it? Like I said, that we do find ourselves in this situation. We are 8-8 now, an even record. A victory against the Browns will give us a 9-8 record, and to take Mike Tomlin to 16 non-losing seasons, which will be absolutely incredible. But apparently the Cleveland Browns, and more specifically, Mr. the Mouth, Myles Garrett, and his teammates are looking to spoil the season for the Steelers at this point. Now, Myles Garrett, who, you know, we all know, loves to run his mouth, loves to say things, loves to come out and, you know, pretty much embarrass himself on a regular basis. You know, for example, there was the Halloween incident last year with apparently the tombstones of all the quarterbacks that he sacked. And, you know, as Big Ben said, he can keep the tombstone, I'll take the W. But, you know, Myles Garrett is someone who loves to embarrass himself, but, you know, loves to open his mouth and embarrass himself. Garrett, who is probably one of the most overrated players in the NFL. You know, the guy who, you know, regularly comes out as the top defensive end, yet is nowhere near the top sack leaders this season. Myles Garrett, whose mouth seems to work an awful lot better than his playing ability. When he was asked about stopping the Steelers from qualifying for the playoffs, Myles Garrett said, "We'd love to do that." So what he said after the Browns beat the Washington Commanders on Sunday. He said, "We consider them our rivals divisionally. If we can't make it, we're definitely going to make sure those guys can't make it either. We're going to do everything in our power. Much respect to them for being in that position, but we live for times like this." I mean, that last statement alone, "we live for times like this," just shows how pathetic and small and just an awful franchise and what an awful person Myles Garrett truly is. You know, I know the Browns would love to play the playoff spoiler. They'd love to beat the Steelers, end it all. You know, their chance of getting to the playoffs ended in week 16 when they lost the New Orleans Saints. You know, it is typical Garrett, typical Browns running their mouth, trash talking. They just, you know what? If the Browns played as well as they trash talk, they'd be Super Bowl champions every season. They love to trash talk. You know, I think it's like we said on the Steelers Depot article today. Garrett just can't seem to keep his foot out of his mouth or stay out of his own way. You know, he's stating the obvious, obviously. You know, the Browns do want to play spoiler, get that, 100% get that. You know, we're rivals. This is a rival game, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and we would be the same. We want to stop them if they were going for the playoffs. But when you say things like, "we live for times like this," it isn't really the best look, is it? It's not the best thing overall. You know, it really does show that the Browns are very pathetic when it comes to being a franchise. You know, maybe the Browns do live for times like this, which is, you know, playing meaningless football at the end of the season, which seems to be a common thing in Cleveland. You know, spending loads of money on a quarterback and spending loads of money on pulling together a franchise and being off-season world champions on a frequent basis and draft and free agency world champions, and then absolutely bombing in the season and doing absolutely nothing. That's what doing a Cleveland really is. You know, I think, you know, this really is what Cleveland are. They try and be a spoiler. They try and spoil the party for the people. But, you know, they're never really competing for anything themselves, are they? Because they're just, at the end of the day, we've got to face facts. They're just not good enough. That's the thing. They've just, as a franchise, they are and have been for a long time now, just not good enough. I think the biggest thing we can do, obviously the best thing we can do now, is shut Myles Garrett and the rest of the Cleveland Browns up by beating them at Acrisure Stadium on Sunday. At the end of the day, we cannot allow the Browns to sweep us. Obviously, the Browns beat us at First Energy Field at the start of the season with Mitch Trubisky as a quarterback. They've never faced Kenny Pickett. This is going to be a first for them. As well, we're also not just playing for that playoff spot, but we're playing for a winning record. We're playing for a 9-8 finish. Again, incentive alone. But the biggest incentive has to be now for the Steelers to go out there and beat the Cleveland Browns. Mike Tomlin should take these comments that Myles Garrett has made. He should pin them up on the notice board and, let Cam Hayward, let TJ, let Minka, let Najee, let George Pickens, let Kenny Pickett read these comments. And that'll be motivating enough. They always say, don't they? Don't give your opposition bulletin board material. Well, Myles Garrett is a walking bulletin board. The guy loves to run his mouth. He loves to put his mouth in gear before he puts his brain in gear, which he does on a frequent basis. I mean, let's face it, it's not just his mouth. Let's face it, it's other things as well. Like, for example, when he assaulted Mason Rudolph by pulling Mason's helmet off and swinging it at Mason's head. Again, not putting his brain in gear. I think, the Steelers have obviously, this is not the first time the Steelers have faced off against the Browns, needing a win to avoid this losing season. In 2012 and 2013 were two seasons where the Steelers faced the Browns, and in both those seasons needed a victory to come out with a positive record. Steelers won 24-10 in 2012 and 20-7 in 2013. It's time. It really is time we shut them up. It really is. It really is time we shoved it down Myles Garrett's throat. And that we go out there on Sunday and shove it down Myles Garrett and the Cleveland Browns' throats, finish with a 9-8 record, finish with a playoff place, and really tell the fans of Cleveland and the Cleveland Browns players that there is only one great team in the AFC North, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thank you for watching the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. Let me know what you think of Myles Garrett's comments below. Love to interact with you with those comments. Thanks for choosing to watch the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. I've been your host, Britsburgh Going. Please hit that sub, ring that notification bell, and come and join the Steelers Syndicate. Thanks for watching, guys. Here we go, Steelers. Come on.